welcome. A very big good new year to you all. Happy 2024. And very excited to be back in the seat with the brother Ryan. And I'm Michael, and you are listening to Journey with Michael and Ryan. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. 2024, the first podcast of 2024. It's a beautiful thing.
It's been a wild ride over the little Christmas holiday, New Year break. And we are here to talk about it all. And just learnings, lessons, downloads, expression, authenticity, all the things that have come into our purview in the last little while. And yeah, just really just set up and align for what is going to be an incredible year.
Yeah, it's destined to be a massive year, brother. And we started it with a bang, realistically, by just spending a week around community, around people that, I guess, see the world through a lens that we see the world, and that's at a beautiful burner festival called Ignition.
Yeah, so in New Zealand, if you're not familiar with the burner festivals, obviously everyone's probably heard of Burning Man, so that's kind of the big one that's out in the Nevada desert over there in America. And each country, you know, if you want to organise it, has their own kind of subsets and arms of the burner, you know, type festivals. And this one here, there's a main one here in New Zealand called Kiwi Burn. That's in a couple of weeks, or that's probably next week, I think. Mm-hmm. And Ignition here in New Zealand happens every 2 years, and that's just another arm and a subset of the burner festivals. And we got to go and celebrate there in fine style for 6 beautiful days out in the sun. Only a couple of hours away from where we live too, so it really made it a lot easier.
Yeah, totally, man. And it's it was beautiful. Like when you go to a festival like that, you realize that they're really, for me personally, they're really the only festivals I actually want to attend. Yeah, you know, because it's about collaboration. Yeah, it's not about commercialization. It's about people coming together, bringing and sharing their own genius, sharing your unique talent, sharing just literally whatever you have to offer to the experience of other people.
Yeah, for me, what I really enjoy about this, it's a micro and macro version of reality of where we live. And what I really tuned into for this particular time was I saw it as like a training ground to practice my own magic, to practice my own creativity. What can I offer? Who can I meet? How can I connect? And really just feeling into edges of, you know, moving into something or a character or a role or an experience where it's not my norm and it's not my comfortability or it's not my comfortable place, and still moving into that space. And it's still widely accepted. As long as you're not hurting anyone, as long as you're not, you know, messing with anyone's time that they're doing, then you can just go in and create it. And as the festival evolved each day, the organisers did it so well. There was its own microclimate. They created their own bank and money system, and it's very interesting how fast you can really get absorbed into it and forget about the other outside life, eh? Totally.
You do, and you can sort of see that, like, even in a place like that where commercialization is just created merely for fun, it's like you quickly see the competitive nature of humans come out, which is really interesting to observe. And so, if just for you guys, if you've never heard of like Burning Man or even burner festivals or the ideas or even like the ideologies around it, essentially it's like there's 10 guiding principles that, regardless of where you are in the world, people sort of, they're like the values that the festival brings. So it's like radical inclusion, radical self-reliance. So everything that is created at the festival is put together over a few days and then packed down at the end. Yep. So you walk into an empty field and you walk out of an empty field. Yep. And unless you knew the festival was going on, there wouldn't really be that much, any remnants of what happened. And that's the beauty of it, because there's different camps all throughout the festival, and different camps have different themes, and different camps have something else to offer. So there's different sound camps, there's different camps that you just merely go into for an experience, and there's different places that offer massage. There's different places that are around like sexual liberalization. There's camps around having fun. There's camps around not being allowed to have fun. Like it's mind-boggling what's on offer.
Yeah, and then you add in all to your repertoire, various different psychedelics and various different, medicinal sacraments, whatever you want to be taking and partaking in to heighten your experience or just move into a space that you want to create for yourself or whatever it is. So, and you catch on to like what another person's trying to create, and you can kind of fall into their creation, and then it really is there's communicating without communicating as well. Like one of the times we were standing in line, it was about 10 o'clock at night, or actually I don't even know what time, it was dark, and there was a guy that was set up there and he was making cocktails. Now there was a line there, now you had to wait in this line to go get it, and he was taking a long time, and while we're standing there, two people just came up and they just started waiting with us, and we started having a conversation with them and said, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" They're like, "Oh, we've just come here to wait." I said, "Oh, great," and then we fell into that, and then we started talking about what's with waiting, and we went into different topics and processes from there. And I mean, until you actually mentioned it, I was like, waiting in line really well to go and get a cocktail, but it was like actually he was taking a long time, so the actual art piece was you waiting.
Totally. The stand was called Waiting Point.
And I know if you're listening to this, you're thinking, what the fuck? That sounds shit. But it was super amazing. And it's just a whole heap of these tiny micro experiences that add up to just one wondrous, absolutely like reality demolishing situation. So you can actually really turn the lens inward and be like, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in a conscious way, rather than just kind of being out here and floating by your own conditions that have been obviously interpreted by you through life or given to you, and this is my role, this is who I am, this is my job or whatever. There, I mean, you don't even really talk about what you are. I mean, I use a different name when I'm there as well, like it's God, it's good. And then just all of the things, I mean, so the camps that everyone puts together are put together by the people. You don't turn up and there's no main stage, with bands and DJs that you all go to. I mean, there's the sound camps all have enough sound systems in it that could, really probably go to Eden Park and hold a major concert there. But yet there's multiple of them, and they're all put together by people who absolutely love doing it. It's their passion. And so then they all kind of sound off with each other, which is quite cool as well.
Yeah, it's dope. It's like, and Mike and I have spoken about open world theatre before. We've spoken about Atlas before. We've actually had him on the podcast, and something he talks about in open world theatre is like meeting the moment, and all throughout that experience, it's like just, I guess, I don't know if other people see it, but just through our lens and the way in which we see the world, it's like all of it's an opportunity to meet someone either where they're at or where you're at, and either play with them or play into the experience or amplify an aspect of yourself, to really just like match and meet the moment, because you could just idly walk around and experience what other people are experiencing and just, be an observer of it all, or you can be a participant. Yeah. And like for me, like the fun in it was just being a participant, going to a camp, seeing what they had to offer, and just really playing into the role and the experience that they were trying to offer people. Yeah,
and it takes a lot of courage as well to constantly be walking into new situations where you have to be like, this is different, this is completely different to what I know, and you have to kind of really like push into that edge.
Well, you don't know if people are serious or if they're fucking with you. Like Waiting Point was a prime example for that. We were like walking back to our camp, and I was like, man, I could go for a cocktail. And then turn around and it's like, oh, this guy's actually serving cocktails. Let's go get our glasses and we'll come back and get a cocktail. And like came back, Van was doing some stretching, you were mucking around rolling a joint. Yep. And so I went over and waited, and I was just talking to people. Guy came up and he was playing
Pac-Man.
Yeah, playing Pac-Man, and the machine just like gets set up. It starts to rain a little bit. The guy puts the Pac-Man machine away. Everyone's sort of like watching him do it, and everyone has a little play for a little bit. Talking to a few different people, and it's like you knew two of the people like
yeah.
two ahead from us.
Well, just
So,
because
like,
I had an amazing experience with them hanging out in the tree ropes.
totally.
Yeah.
And then you're just like waiting. You're just waiting. You're talking to people. You're just waiting. You know, you're just there. You're like thinking about it. You're like, man, this guy's taking a long time. It's like, oh well, it's clearly going to be worth it. And to be honest, like I have nothing else to do right now. Like I want a cocktail. I have time. I'm gonna wait. And then when someone came in and like just showed that possibility was merely the experience they had created for you, it sort of clicks in your mind, and then you're like, well, I could be frustrated right now for the fact that I've been waiting in a line for 20 minutes and I've gone nowhere. I haven't moved up once, no one's actually left the queue, and you can become really frustrated. And in life you'd be like, what a fucking waste of my time. Like, what a waste of my time. But you know, the experience into them, talking to them about then like clicking on and then just having a conversation with them about the benefits of waiting.
Yeah.
And the benefits of like this being the experience.
And having to create conversation within that experience.
Yeah.
And seeing where that goes.
Yeah, knowing that you've just been fucked with.
Yeah.
And like, but then like playing into it that you hadn't been, and you were there for the experience, knowing that they were merely there to fuck with you, and the fact that you'd been waiting in the queue for a while. Like, it's beautiful. And then just another offering, another opportunity comes around. We're like talking about it, and we're like, oh, like, you know, we're like, oh, we started talking about chai and like how that's a really nice thing to do in the evening. We're like, you know what, fuck the cocktail, let's go get a chai.
Yeah, we do.
And you just move into the next experience.
Yeah. But it's also in the experience, and this is something, and I know you and I have spoken about this quite a bit. There's something in us that feels like we need to keep going to something better, even though you're having an incredible time at the thing that you're at. And it's just keep coming back to, because there's so much on offer. There's endless on offer.
You can have your ass spanked. You can play in a ball pit. You can do fire dancing and twirling. Like, you think about it, it's there.
It's there. And if you're somewhere and you're thoroughly enjoying it, and you've been there for a little while, I find I'm like, okay, well, let's move on to the next thing. You know, even though I'm having an incredible time right there, I still feel like, oh, let's search for something.
What else is on offer?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, if you choose to go find something else on, great. But if you don't, it's great. But it's still, there's so many teachings in that of, if you are in an incredible place, why do you need to go somewhere else? It's that innate thing in humans. It's like, oh, there's something better over there. There's something better over there. There's something better over there. And like, we can put that down to our relationships, our jobs, our lives. You know, it's like, oh, there's always something better. Look, there's always something better, but it's the check-in in yourself of to go, am I fucking really in the place where I want to be right now? And if the answer is yes, then it's like, why do you then need to move to go and find something else?
100%. And otherwise, you're just going to constantly be chasing what's next, and never fully be present in the experience of where you are.
And yeah, and to tap onto the back of that, a huge, massive theme that has come up for us was slowing down.
Totally.
Slowing down. Time will always be there. When you start moving into the rebirthing immortality and all of that, it's like, yeah, it's okay.
Got forever. What's the rush?
100%. Like, even when we're in our camp one night, and so each camp you have, especially if you're a sound camp, so we're attached to this one camp. It was our first time being in a camp as well, and that was great. It was amazing. There were some incredible people that were there, and it was a big sound camp. So on the Tuesday night they had a bit of a party, and the Thursday night was the big themed bunny party that they all put together, and that was the big thing. And everyone in the camp was, you know, they're a little bit more, they're a little bit older than us. You know, they've gotten to the parts of their life where they've kind of like able to get out of the matrix, and they can kind of create the lives that they want, and that's why they're able to do all this at such a high level. But also, we've got magic, you know. We've got magic at being able to like bring people together, create parties and events, and you know. And so we were, you know, let's just say the party started at 6 or 7 or whatever it is, and we're kind of just still doing our thing, you know. We're like in our wardrobe tent, and we're just kind of messing around, and like, let's go get a swim because it's hot, freshen up for the night, and we're kind of in there. And one of the guys comes in and is like, guys, you got to get out to the dance floor. You got to go. You got to do it. And we're just like, nah, like, it's all on our own time, like. And it was a really cool moment in that we do take on other people's emergencies, I guess. You know, we take on other people's you know, like, let's go. It's like, well, that's important for you. I understand that. That's great. But what's important for me right now is just me being here and me dressing and doing the thing in my own time.
Totally.
You know? And we did. And it all lined out nicely. Like, we got there and, you know, I got to run it all through the mic and all that sort of stuff. And we gone out and we put our time in too. Like, during that day, we'd all got dressed up and we went onto the field, onto the paddock, and, you know, we were offering pain and pleasure. You know, I had this big buffer. It was really great. And Van got into a dominatrix outfit, and she was out there offering spankings, and, you know, afterwards to get a bit of aftercare with the buffer on the ass as well, which was beautiful. And we looked good. We looked hot. It was great. So we're out there promoting this party.
100%. And it's like, that was just us adding our genius to the experience, because a lot of the people were they had put it all together in the background. We didn't even really know what was going on, to be honest, right? Like, I helped out throughout the day to set it up and everything like that, pull a few things. And then he was like, oh, we've got all these different passes. We're going to hand them out. The people that get the passes are going to be dressing up. And I'm like, well, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. Like, who's handing out the passes? And he's like, oh, like, I hadn't really thought about it yet. And I was like, well, there's not one better than us to do it.
Yeah,
like, I don't see you guys going to do it. We'll go do it. Like, we'll find some sexy people to come to this party. Like, it's all good, you know. That's Mike's genius.
Yeah, totally.
And then it was fun, man. And it was just fun. And 2 hours of just roaming around the paddock, just offering an experience to people.
Yeah. And then it's in that experience that you're creating, within the creation, that you can fall into different roles and characters. And then for me in that particular time, the edge was actually just being in the background and just being actually led and being soft, and then just offering some beautiful pleasure. Because, like, for me, walking around and offering some spankings and that's easy for me. Yeah, for sure. But that was really a good edge for me, and I just kind of like darted around, and then Van like moved more into her, like, all right, her dominatrix role, and she was really stepped into it and like fell into that. And then and it's just in those times and moments where you're just like, who do I want to be? What do I want to play in? You know, like, what's the edge I want to move into now? And it's just constantly filled with all of these points of reference that you can then learn from and take into the real world. Totally. Because everything is your choice, and whatever you do as well.
Totally. And it's like not even showing up as a character, it's just playing into a different aspect of yourself.
Very true, 100%.
Yeah. And just seeing how you fit in that role, and seeing how you can play into it, and like noticing when people may be a little better at playing that game than you, and you're like, okay, cool, how can I keep up in this moment? How can I keep this experience going for both of us, and not allowing it to fall off without breaking character? You know, because there's moments, and you can feel the thread, you can feel the energy of the whole experience and the whole place. Like, it has a pulse of its own, and you really notice it start to ramp up as you can feel like the energy of people starting to ramp up. And it was like, that's why we just took a moment and we were like, no, let's just go slow. Like, I could feel the camp rushing. You can feel everyone trying to make something happen to make sure there was going to be a really good experience that evening. And I was just like, no, let's just not, like, it'd be easy to get caught up in it. Let's just go slow. Let's just like bring some slowness to the experience, bring some slowness to people, remind everyone, like, it's just going to happen. It'll be what it'll be. You know?
Exactly right. You know, you can take action, but not force things. The action is there. Like, you can set up the premise, and then it will be what it will be. Yeah,
intentionally going slow.
Yeah, massive. It was huge. You know, and then even one of the nights. So on the Monday night, obviously Monday, Tuesday. I think it was maybe Monday, Tuesday. Was kind of more party nights. You know, we're in the sound camps, and then the Wednesday came, and I had just kind of hung out outside in the sun all day, and I literally just had a bubble one, and I was just blowing bubbles everywhere, and I was just flowing, just absolutely flowing by myself, and I was just like going to each camp, just people coming up. There was little offerings of like a lady sitting there. She's had her umbrella, said, you know, she was offering drunk advice, and I was just like, well, I'm going to sit here and talk to you. And it was really, really nice for me to be able to just fall into that flow of that softness. And it was actually, it's a version of myself I want to be more. And it was really nice to be able to just harness that. And that's why I call it a training camp. I was like, yeah, this is who more of I want to be. Just that softer, flowy, also, while still having my warrior masculine energy. But it's like, cool. And really noticing how many more people were receptive to me, and how many more people were just engaging with me, you know, and different types of people, which was really nice. And then from there, you know, obviously that kind of happened when we ran into each other, and we kind of went for a bit of a dance. And then, you know, at these things, you just fall.
You find your own burn.
Yeah, totally. You just
find your own burn.
You know, I'm not for one. You know, you can go out in a group, but it's like, don't wait for people. You know, like if there's something you want to go do, just go do it. Like it's you know, we're not here to hold each other's hands.
We're not there to wait for it, like wait in that way.
No, exactly.
The anticipation of when someone will come back.
Yeah. Like every now and then, if you're deep in the psychedelics and they've got to go to the loo or something,
totally.
Okay, I'll wait here so you know where I will be.
Yeah, totally.
Because you'll just get lost for all that. And then that night, I think we all got dressed and, you know, indulged in a few other beautiful substances, and I was like, man, I just feel like an experiential night. You know, I don't really want to go and hit the dance floors and things. I just want to just go and put myself into places where I can have an experience and I can connect and I can have conversations. And so that's what I did. I just went off by myself and I went up into the trees and I kind of just sat there for a little while. Then I saw, you know, a few people and just observing people. It was really, really nice, and just went laid up on the ropes, and then I just had this beautiful connection with a couple of these people up there, and that was really, really powerful and intense, and it was amazing. And then just kind of dropped out of there, and then various other places as well. So it was just an amazing experiential time, and it was really nice that you can just go, cool, there's one way to do a burn late. You can go and party, bang, bang, you can dance, and you can go to that. But then you can go and have another one. Or you could actually then just go and have another type or another type. You know, there's many types that we still haven't even tapped on.
Totally. And everyone will have a completely different experience, and there's always something on offer for anyone. Yeah. You know, and that's really is the beauty of it. Yeah. Like whoever you are, and there's the spectrum of people that are there is really what makes it. Yep. Because if it was all the same sort of people who've seen the world in the same way, then every camp would be very similar. Yeah. But because there's so many different peoples that play in so many different realms and have their own specific genius and groups and views, it just makes every camp so individual. Yeah. And it means that like everyone can be an individual there, you know. And that really is the beauty of it. That's the thing I like the most, is just knowing that regardless of who you are, you're going to find an experience that's right for you. Yeah. And if you just put a whole bunch of people who are just trying to be the most authentic version of themselves and just radically express who they are, to me that's one of the most spiritual things you can do. And from that's just magic. Magic is created in that. And you can feel the energy. Like there was one day that we didn't, I think we didn't even really take anything that day, but I still felt like I was high, you know, because of the energy of the place. Yeah. And it was all day, and it's just like flow. And then I was playing with like manifestation. I was playing with magic, you know, like I was like, oh, I want this to happen. And I got really clear on it, and there it is, you know? And then it's like, ooh, yeah, I like that, you know? And it's like, oh, I'll just do this, and then this will happen. And it does. It's like, poof, there it goes. It's such a magic place where you just get radical expression. Totally. And I guess like even just going, we'll take a few steps back. So even just for New Year's, so we didn't even really do much for New Year's, which will probably be the first New Year's I haven't done anything for a really long time. Like we did something really simple. We went to Mike's sister's place for dinner. You know, they were drinking and everything like that. We didn't drink, didn't do any drugs, and it was probably the first New Year's I've had since I was 16 where I've been sober for. Yeah. You know, and like no drugs, nothing. I mean, I haven't drunk for many years in a New Year's, but you know what I mean? And even that in itself is a beautiful experience, knowing that you just don't need to chase something just for a day. No. Or just for a reason. Knowing essentially that energy is important and we were conserving ourselves for ignition. But then to actually just come home and me, you and Van actually just went on a ketamine and cannabis journey. Yep. And like I've had ketamine a couple times before, but it often always been when we were having or consuming other drugs, other psychedelics, acid, mushrooms, you know, mescaline. And it's beautiful to drop in and like really get to know that substance and that molecule and the interactions and the way in which it works on the brain. Yep. And your ability to essentially like bend time. or bend an experience, or just like bending consciousness, understanding and seeing all of these different threads and all of these different options in front of you in real time, and really being able to choose that option. And it's beautiful because it you know, as we do, we fucking like to go deep. So throughout that experience, we like went deep into some understanding some of our traumas and stories and the patterns and the scripts that we were writing and the stories that we were telling about certain things. And it was a beautiful experience because it gave me personally an opportunity to really understand the compound and understand how it works in the body.
Yep.
So like when we jumped into ignition, then being able to utilize like that ability that ketamine has to write scripts and stories and to like step into different themes, it made it so much easier to like navigate that space, because you could actually play with the molecule. You could understand that you can see the world in a slightly different way, and you could like react and respond very quickly in the moment to different potentials that could play out.
That's a really good way to put it. For me, I was the same. Like I've developed a really beautiful relationship with this compound now, just on the way that we're doing it. So this is where we like to, like, this is where healing and play can come at the same time. And the amount of healing and openness and depth that I've got to, and just in the last kind of like couple of weeks from, you know, what we've been doing and playing and surrounding ourselves with the different people, and for me it's like it puts me into my psyche and it gives me access to open up a filing drawer, and in that filing drawer is all the files, and I can pull that file out and I can open it and I can read it, and then the emotion doesn't get attached to that. It's not like the emotion isn't there. It's just that the emotion doesn't. It's detached from that file, and then the file can just be spoken really openly and gently, and like without the emotion interrupting it and being like, oh yeah, that's that, or this shame because I'm now sharing it to people. It's like, doesn't matter. No. Like it's just being shared, and then with that the openness comes, and then it's just like I'm unthreading my psyche, you know, for the better. And it's just, it feels really amazing. And so then when we're at, you know, places like Ignition, and you've got some radically authentic people around you who are wanting and creating the same, and then knowing that what you create people will jump on because of the energy of the place. So like your unthreading becomes the other person's unthreading, and vice versa, and then it just becomes this dance of like, I'm having a fucking amazing time because I love to just dive into myself, and I'm getting healing at the same time, whilst I'm also connecting deeply with all these epic humans, and then I'm connecting deeper with myself as well.
Totally. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh,
it's a beautiful thing, and it really made me understand why they are now utilizing ketamine and assisted psychotherapy.
Correct.
You can really see and understand how it gives you this ability to like delve into your psyche, and as you say, like pack into the files, see what's going on, see the scripts, the stories, the plays that you've put away and that you'd forgotten, and yet you were conscious, well, subconsciously playing out anyway.
Yeah, and for me, it was just a key to unlock.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Like, it was just a key to unlock. I mean, like, how many things have you heard from me in the last week or two that you've probably never even heard before? And
totally.
You're like, I knew that was that, motherfucker.
Well,
and now
it's like we were
here.
waiting for it.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
like the things that you can see in others, and to like hear you come up with these different things, and like even just like acknowledging and like feeling into your softness.
Yeah.
You know, like that's something that's really fucking difficult for you. It's something that doesn't come naturally to you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's something that you've never understood.
That's correct.
It's something you've never understood. We were talking about this when we were deep in a session of understanding what was going on throughout it.
It's like, it's even actually, okay, yeah, we'll go into that first. So it's exactly right there. It's the amount of times people have been like, oh, like, Mike, you need to be soft, you need to be softer. But no one tells you how. It's the same as like, you just got to love yourself more. Ask anyone. Okay, how do I do that? I guarantee you'll get crickets most of the time. It's easy to be like, hey, this is what you need to be doing. Yeah, great, understand that. But how?
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't know how.
And you never felt it.
I never felt it.
And you've never felt it.
No.
Or even if you've seen it in others, you've probably seen it as weakness.
Yeah, maybe as weakness, but just, or even just like, bit of frustration because I'm like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
And then if it comes naturally to people, you can't really naturally talk about, you can't really explain what comes natural to you of how you do it.
Yeah,
it's like, well, that's just how I am. It's like if someone comes up to me and it's like, Mike, you're like,
how do you step up on stage in front of 1,000 people with a microphone and just make it look so effortless?
Yeah, and I'm like, well,
I just do it.
Yes, there's aspects of like, enhancing that and getting better at it, but it really, when you said that to me the other day about like, now you've experienced the how, I'm like, totally right, man. And it's something I brought in. Even this morning I woke up, I'm like, I'm just soft, I'm just feeling a lot softer than I have, and I know now what it feels like when it's that, and when I can move into that, and so it's just given me that dichotomy and that ability to be able to move into it, and then obviously, not obviously, but then from Ignition we went straight into another rebirthing weekend, and that just continually unraveling, and I just went and I found some depth of like, I've actually been afraid of women. I've actually been fearful of them. I don't trust them, right from birth, and went into the depths of that. And so the unraveling of that is like, okay, well, I didn't even feel safe to be falling into my own feminine because I didn't trust it.
It's always fucked you over.
There's a huge aspect of myself that I didn't trust. So no wonder I found it difficult to drop into it, or didn't drown myself. And so this whole experience of what we've been going through, it all intertwines. And this is where, like, we're sitting here now doing a podcast, like shouting it from the rooftops, because there is the aspect of that you can go into play, you can go into a state of human, which is, hedonism and gluttony and all this other things, and still do it beautifully and still come out with some healing from it, because it's still not denying an aspect of the human experience. It's like, that is a part of the human experience, so why not dive into that as well?
Sure.
Because in society it's been shamed so much.
Well, because people see it as drugs, and there was a lot of people out there doing drugs and not doing it consciously. There's not a lot of people that would have spent time throughout the day to debrief and as they're walking through the paddock being like, do you know what I've noticed about ketamine is that if I think this thing, I can then see the thread that's going to pull me towards it.
Totally.
Well, they might be, but they might just be doing it on a subconscious level, or who knows, to be honest.
We're just talking about our own experience.
We're just talking about our own experience, So if you do ketamine and you have noticed it, let's chat.
Let's have
a night together on it.
Yeah.
We'll dance.
Oh, live a little dance. And you can see why it's starting to become legal in America in different states, and you can get it there, and it can be used beautifully as well. So, but huge, man. Like, honestly, for me, like, life-changing, huge. And it's just so thankful that we are creating what we want to create, and then finding our tribe. It's just constantly finding your tribe. And, like, I won't name it, but we stepped into a festival we used to hang out at quite a bit. Like, it's a alcohol-free, drug-free festival. Really beautiful people there. But we went there, like on the 30th, and then we dropped back on the 1st of January. And didn't take anything or anything. It was just going around and meeting some people, and I had to do an art auction, and that was really nice. But it was really interesting stepping into that space, of a space where I felt so at home.
Totally.
Very quickly.
Right, and done a space that created so much healing for us.
So much healing,
connection with us.
So much connection. A lot of beautiful people, and just being in here and not judging it, but just going, it's
not for us anymore.
It's not for us anymore, because I can still see the ideology around it. I can still see the restrictions that it puts onto people, and when you have to say we are the community building the community, you're kind of like leading it, right? And whereas, like, when you go to somewhere like Ignition or a burning festival, there's not one person saying, oh, look, we're building community here. It's just community. And you just get together and you just do what needs done, and you just, because you want to be there and you want to enjoy it, So that was a really interesting dichotomy, really, and I loved like just checking in on that and being like, oh yeah, like I love the evolution of myself. I love like going, cool, that's a place that I can still go in and meet and know a lot of people, and I really enjoy it, and there's some beautiful offerings, and I really love it. But it's like, I take it a little bit to the more expansive of expression now.
And you see, like, Well, you can see the evolution of ourselves throughout going to Kiwi Burn last year and Ignition this year. It's like, it's like we're constantly in like personal development and self-development and understanding who we are and playing in all these new different rounds and pushing edges in so many different ways. But it's like when you come to a place like that where your choice is to just push as many edges and push whatever edge you want to over the period and over the experience. It's like to reflect on the person that stepped into to Kiwi Burn last year and then the person that showed up for Ignition this year. For me personally, we're like two completely different people. Two completely different people. Through the way in which there's like freedom to express. The freedom to express sexuality, like just showing up and meeting people in a moment, just the fun, the play, the conversations, like all of it's just like, fuck, man, we've done some work.
Oh yeah,
and it's fucking paying off.
Yeah, that's a really good point, man. I hadn't reflected on that, but that really is. That's a really nice stake in the ground of going, oh yeah, like the difference of 1 year, just even from that first experience of a burn festival to being like, whoa, that was an awakening, and then taking that awakening and kind of like implementing it into life to like this, boom, to like going, no, we're talking about setting up our own camp at the next one now, like it's like fun. We're going to now create within the creation, and we're actually going to create our own experience the way that we want to,
and offering for the community
and offering for the world, and how we can then play into that. And boy, have we got some fucking dope ideas, man. It's like, as soon as like I said it, I was like, yep, there's my initiation into that, let's go and do this. Totally. Because like there are amazing camps there, but it's still someone else's vision. You're still being a part of it.
Totally.
And that's great. I love that. And I loved helping out. Like the camp we were in was awesome. There's amazing people there. There wasn't as much culture in there as I would have liked, but that's okay. There was still incredible conversations with the people. And I loved that was our first entry point in there because they're all so seasoned and they knew what was going on. So we learned really well. But it's like, no. It's like as fast as we are moving and evolving, it's like, no, we need to do our own, because I don't want to have any restrictions on the way that I want to create within this world, and then take our own lessons from there and go, oh, this is what we can evolve to do better, and this is what we can do different, or we're going to now completely turn the tables and change the experience, and that excites me.
Totally.
Yeah.
The merchant, baby.
The merchant. Yeah. So if you're ever going to be up at the Burner Festivals from next year onwards, just look out for the merchant.
Look out for the merchant.
We got some fucking cool things in store for you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. We're just going to keep Rubes away from the creation of some of the fucking experiences.
Doesn't even. He's not even allowed to know he has a ticket from the day before.
Oh man. But yeah, like, and you can even hear it in my voice. So like, the reason my voice is like this, because so some of the bigger well-known camps, they've been around for a while, and they'll have like one big event offering that they'll offer to like the whole camp, and they'll do it kind of at centre camp or whatever's set up there. And we went out to go watch one of the events that was out there that was run by by one of the camps there, and it was just rowdy. Like everyone's rowdy. Like I think it was like, when was it, a Wednesday or Thursday? Whatever it was. Yeah, Wednesday during the day. So we're a few days in, and everyone's a few days in, and it's going large. The sun was out, it was baking, and they run their annual vibrator races, and so they have this cool like corrugated iron. It's on an angle, and you put the different vibrators at the top and turn them on, and they buzz down, and whoever wins, and you go through the different pulling processes. Anyway, so we were down starting to watch this, and there's another camp that's involved, all the hot girls with the water guns squirting each other, and they're just really doing it really well. And we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, and we're going to go and we're going to auction off each vibrator to see who wants to do it. And I was just sitting there, and word of no lie, this didn't even come from my brain. It just came. I was just like, right, well, no one here could do this better than me, so I'm going to go up and do it. I literally just stood up. I didn't tell anyone. I just walked up, and I just said, hey, look, you better let me do the auction. I'm an auctioneer, and just give me the mic. And he just looked at me, he's like, oh, okay, and just gave it to me. And I was like, it's on, and I was like, well, this is an offering. This is an offering, and I know that I can do this.
You can hold the crowd.
And
they were savages, like heathens.
It was like, it was like the Wolf of Wall Street. You know, when he's standing at the front.
I ain't fucking leaving.
Yeah. And then they start fighting. You know, he's like, fucking hit him. You know, it's like, I like him like animals. You know, it was literally like that. You know, it was all the animals getting together, but it was fun. So I got to run up and hold up and do this auction, and God, it was good. And there was some people like coming down and fighting for the thing and
wrestling for it.
Yeah, there was like fucking. You know, that fucking nacho DJ Khan trying to fucking hold the balloon. I like to kick him off, like, get out of here. You know, like,
it's controlled chaos.
Yeah, it was amazing. And so, again, in that for me is one of the beauties of this, because I love doing auctions. I mean, it is actually something I really love to do, but the capacity that I do it in is actually starting to really bore me. Like, it's not, you know, but it's like, okay, how do I take the thing that I love to do and actually create it and make it mine? It's like, well, I did that art auction at the other festival, and that was great because there's a whole different category of people to go in, and they'd never experienced a professional auction, and these artists were actually starting to get paid, and I was helping them get paid, and I was really helping them make some money and actually do it proper. And you know, these people had never been negotiated with before. I'm like, hey, I'm going to stop here, and da-da-da. So that was good. To only then step that up and have this, and I'm like,
and sell dildos for bucks.
Sell dildos for fake money. You know, it was amazing. But yeah, that was amazing. And again, it's just like, how can you just take what you know and turn it into yours? And when there's an opportunity, step into the fucking moment. It's like, I could have sat there and been like, oh no, you know, I'll do it. And I would have sat there just being like, fuck this, like, why did I do it? You know? But again, it's just like, no, do that, get into it and fucking own it and do it well. And if you do things well, go and fucking just take it out to the world, you know, regardless of what you're doing. And even from all of that, there's ideas that are percolating in my mind. Even like as an add-on for Beta, I was like, how can we help people? How can I actually get artists, help them get paid? How can I take them through a professional auction process, you know, and actually like set up like an annual, you know, unknown artists auction for them, and we can fill it with people and we can have an amazing time, and you know, like, and it's just like, it's like creating the fun of life. And so that's where all these sorts of things come from, and that's where this play for us like really helps us create. It's to disconnect to reconnect, and honestly, like that's it's where we fill up.
Totally, man, totally is. I mean, that's, you couldn't have said it better.
Yeah,
like it's where we fill up.
And what was really cool too, I love, even when I was doing that auction, you were like, oh, I want to get in a part of this, because it's like, you know, we're always going to be bringing each other up. You know, you're like, all right, fuck, he's up there, right? And you're
but even when I was doing it, I was going through it, I was like, oh, I'm just going to say I got $100,000. They're like, but we don't have $100,000. I was like, well, I'll make $100,000. So I ran back to the camp, ripped up a few notes, taped them all together, went back there, waited for the dildo that we wanted, let it like work up a little bit, and then I just fucking stood up in front of the crowd with this fake money that I'd put together, and I'd be like, $100,000.
I loved it. And as soon as you did that, I was like, damn, that's dope. I knew what you're doing. It was good. And I was like, this man has fake money. And I was like, bring him to the center. Boo this man. And the whole crowd fucking booing you. I'm like, how do we punish him? And he's a public flogging. And I had the big whips, and I gave it to one of the chicks, and she's just flogging you. And I was like, yes, like this is what you can do when you step into your power and you step into your co-creation. It's like the others around you will
co-create magic.
And that's just how you and I work. It's like, dope. Like, get involved. And so, yeah, it warmed my heart. I was like, yeah, that's dope. That's cool. And even people come to me like, man, that guy that like got a flogging, that was like one of the best moments. Like, yeah, that's my bro. And they're like, really? I'm like, fuck yeah. That's how much we love each other.
It's like, I know you're going to play into it. That's why I did it. If it was someone else, it would have been like, nah, they wouldn't really get it. Or it might disrupt it. But like, nah, Mike's going to fucking play into it. This is fun.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun. What an experience. And then, you know, any experience you can sit here and talk for however long we've been talking now is an amazing experience, you know, and then just the intricacies we're pulling out. And I know we're missing out on a whole lot too after the podcast, and be like, there was that and that and that. But, you know, I think you guys get the gist of what we're talking about. It's find your tribe, find your expression, go out into the world, just be who you fucking want to be and own it. Be in the spotlight, and it's something that you're really stepping into, bro. I'm fucking proud of you, man, for really just like owning that and doing that unashamedly. And I'm the same. I'm like, there are still like parts of myself I still like minimize. I'm like, I'm like, no, fuck that. 2024, man, is the year of big. It's a year of goddamn big and being as big as we can.
Totally.
You know, and don't care who or what cages I rattle.
I love it. Because that's what it's all about, you know. Why do all this work if we're still going to limit and minimize who we are?
Correct.
You know, we're here to help people help themselves.
Correct.
You know, to support people and finding their own authenticity and embracing who they truly are. And that's the crux of rebirthing, you know. And it's like we're getting to a point now where we feel so comfortable in who we are, we can change who we are.
Yeah. And I really liked as well, like even in amongst the hedonism and the play and the party and all the good stuff, there was a moment where this lady who we'd never met, like she just turned up to the camp a couple of days later and she was just kind of in there and she just had been yelled at by some lady from another camp about her car, and you know, like I walked around the corner and you'd already spoken to her first and she was quite rattled and she was like, oh, I just don't know what I'm doing. And like, you and me just like dropped straight in, like, hey, just come.
What do you need?
What do you need? Let's just drop you in. Let's help you have the experience. You know, like,
help you land, help you be here.
Yeah.
How can we sort you out of the car? All right, let us take control of the situation.
Yeah.
You clearly don't know what you're doing, so like, let us help you.
For sure. And so even in amongst that, there's still the opportunity to just help people. You know. And then she ended up getting a buffer on her ass, you know, and she's like, oh, trying to like get away from it, enjoying it, and it's like, that's good. And then the lady from the car came over while we were cooking dinner, and I'm like basically just dismissing her and like, get out of here, you know, like, you've spoken about it, all right, well, it's spoken about. I don't fucking have anything to do with this, like, on you go. And she felt really supported, and she had a better time for it, you know. And so that's where, even in the heat, in the midst of whatever you're doing, you can still just be a kind person if you see somebody who just needs a bit of a drop-in or needs some support.
Well, that's the moment.
That is the moment.
That's the moment. And it's like, that's probably the biggest thing I've taken away from Ignition is like, just be fully present in the moment. It's so easy to think about what's next. And I get caught up in it all the time, all the fucking time. Yeah. I'm constantly thinking about what's next.
Managing energy.
It's the way my brain works and it's wired. So for me to like actively force myself to slow down, I know it's going to make things happen so much faster and so much more efficiently.
Look at you learning the manifesto ways.
I got that manifestor in me.
I know you do.
I got that manifestor in me.
And then, man, once you like kind of like just relax more, then more things happen for you. And then you're like, God damn, why have I been pushing so hard? You know?
Yeah, why I need to grind?
You know, like life is easy. Life can be as easy as you want it to be.
100%. And it will be whatever you want it to be.
Yep.
And that was probably one of the biggest things from one of the nights on a Ket journey was like, you write the story. The story is being written in front of you. Yep. It's like an active play. And it's just like you are the director, the script writer, and the actor all at the same time.
Yep.
And it's like when you can see and understand that, it's like you create the scene while also being in the scene and co-creating it with people around you.
It's it. You're always going to need people around you. Can't do it by yourself.
No way. It would be a boring scene.
Well, you just couldn't do it.
No.
You just couldn't.
Nor would I want to.
No. Because you can only do what you can do. And there's so many things that I want to do that I know there's people better than that. So I'm like, well, just you lead the way in that way.
For sure.
Because I want to do everything I want to do it to the best of the experience.
And utilize people to the best of their ability as well.
Yeah. I mean, and that just keeps coming back. It's really cool, man, because it's like our founding values of Beta are generally aligned with our own personal values. And then that just, if you can really tap into those, and then that just spills out into the world of whatever you're doing. It just keeps coming back. So, you know, I want to empower as many people as possible to find their own spark. But again, not everyone wants to.
No.
And that's being okay with that as well.
Totally.
You know, I'm not forcing upon anything. I'm not telling anyone how to live their life.
For sure.
But if they come and ask a question, or I just ask them questions to try and like go a little bit deeper, and they start getting intrigued, it's like, great. I'll tell you about my own experiences. And if you've been listening to the podcast this whole time, you just know that me and Ryan, we just talk about our own experiences. And that's it. You know, I'm not saying it's the best way or the only way, but if there are some lessons and some gold from you to be able to implement into your life, 100%. To go, this is how they did it. Maybe I could take a little bit of that to shortcut me to this thing that I want to do. And I think that's a bit in a brass tacks, really, of kind of just the fundamentals.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that's it. Like, life is here to be played. So go out there and play, have fun. And if you have an opportunity and you find intrigued to go to one of these festivals, like, find a way. You know, you'll figure it out.
Even if you go by yourself.
To be honest, that's part of the game. Getting there is part of the game.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll do Burning Man next year.
Totally.
Do the big
2025. The merchant's coming to Burning Man.
That's it. Oh, well, ladies and gents, the first one done.
That's it. The
There you
first
go.
one of 2024.
2024. Share this around. We want to pump the numbers up this year. We want to get our message up. So share this around. Tag us in it. We will share it as well. We'll give you some love. Let's really co-create now. Let's get this out here. We're going to be having some more guests on here. We've got a bit of a goal to have one every second week, but we'll just get into the year and we'll start planting people to get them up here. And then Ryan will interview one, I'll interview another, and we'll start getting some really cool different ideas through here. And if you've got some ideas about who you'd want to hear on here as well, or you've got some connections, then just reach out to us. Or if you've got an amazing journey and you're a bit of a wizard or a witch yourself,
Come
give us
along.
a shout. Come along. We're here to just pump everyone up.
Totally, man. Come co-create with us.
Oh, yeah.
100%. And even just to share, like, that's co-creation.
Yeah, it's co-creation. You're really just helping the collective.
Beautiful. All right, beautiful people. Thank you guys so much for listening.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Sure.